Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Friends from Film School. I'm Luke Pilgrim.
I'm Brad Kennedy.
And I'm Ellis Treese.
Ooh.
Yes!
Told you it's a theme.
So,
Yeah, man.
dude, I watched Aladdin the other night, and I was telling you guys before the podcast, but this is what I was going to tell you about. A little bit of backstory first. I was a musician for most of my life until I was like 25 when I went back to film school. So I hear stuff, I pay attention to music closely and everything. So I'm watching Aladdin. Will Smith is like singing at the beginning of the movie, and the movie's framed differently because it's like, I guess he's telling the story. I don't know, I didn't finish watching it.
So it's a different setup. It's not like a shot for shot
Yeah,
remake.
once they got into the story, it seemed pretty much shot for shot, but it's framed with him like telling his kids the story.
Will Smith
Yeah,
as the genie?
he's not the genie. I mean, he is the genie in the story.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's like
So it's like a bedtime story that he's telling his kids?
but he's on a ship. He's on a ship, like a pirate ship.
What?
This sounds like a dream I had. Will Smith is on a pirate ship telling his kids a story. No, that's what it is, though.
You were there, and you were there, and you were there.
And that's how it
One of the
starts.
kids.
He's telling him a story.
I'm Will Smith's son.
And then
Adopted.
he starts singing like Arabian Nights or whatever, but it's like extremely auto-tuned. And it sounds terrible. And I was like, that's the new, like, I don't know if other people even noticed that, but to me it was like the music has like zero soul to it because it's so electronic.
So, like, perfect.
Yeah, it's
kinda
perfect
sounding.
and electronic sounding, and like they're even just, they obviously like tweak it, they turn it off. He still has some of these like vibrato like things, but it definitely sounds like a computer singing or something.
Okay, here's the question I have. Will Smith in the 90s had like a rap song at the end of like every movie.
Yeah.
Does he have one in Aladdin?
I don't know. I turned it off.
Okay.
The movie wasn't that good. I just couldn't get into it. It is a lot like Aladdin, but I mean like the cartoon, but it's sort of just kind of lacked any emotion or fun to me.
That's pretty rare for you to like shut a movie off and not want to watch it.
I know.
You're probably one of the most like forgiving people when it comes to
dude.
like watching movies. So.
I usually will find something I really like about it or whatever, but I don't know. And I was by myself, so it wasn't like, it wasn't like me and Carrie were watching it. I'm like, well, we'll see how it goes. It was like I could just turn this off because no one's here.
It's not like she's invested and then you're like, I hate it, and then you
Right.
turn it off. She's like, what? Why?
Yeah, so I didn't dig it that much. But yeah, the auto tune was too much. It seemed like it's like a musical, but there's no like life to the musical, and so that's like a thing for this day and age. Like that didn't exist. I don't think they had that capability when they did the first Aladdin. Like I don't know when auto-tune first came out, but I'm pretty sure they weren't auto-tuning.
It came out
like that.
It came out, I think, in the 80s or so. But
What's
like,
the date, Brad?
I can't tell you the date when Autotune came out, but definitely. What's that Cher song? Where it sounds like super robotic. Like that's probably the only type of auto-tune they had back in the day.
I can't believe you just brought that up. I had a note about that song because not even having to do with Aladdin, but that song, you know how songs get like, Ellis, you'll just have like a song that comes up in your head. You don't know how.
Yes.
Dude, do you believe in life after love? Every like few days, and I don't know why.
And it's just in your head and you can't get rid of it, and
I don't
you're
have
just
to
like singing it.
Yeah, I don't have to have heard it.
Yeah.
I guess that song was like came out when I was a kid, and I just for some reason, dude, it's that song will just come up in my head, and it's the weirdest thing.
Are you a secret
Cher fan? Maybe it's because I love Cher. I love her. I want to be just like her. I don't know, but but that song, dude, all the time. So that's. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to tell everyone. I wanted to
be like Cher.
I wanted to tell everyone how much Cher is in my mind all the time.
Like all the Disney movies and stuff. I feel like all the new live action movies are kind of like you're rewatching the same story, but it's like dead.
Yeah,
it has like no life or emotion in it at all. It's like kind of like just
The Jungle Book.
Flaunting like.
See, I haven't seen the Jungle Book remake.
I'll tell you, it's the same problem.
It's not very good.
The Lion King. Like, all right, here's the thing.
I did see The Lion King.
They look beautiful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they look awesome. And I like probably The Lion King is probably a revolutionary in the way that it's photorealistic. I mean, you can't tell.
It's a weird thing to call it live action though, because it's like
all animated.
It's still an animated movie, but it's like photorealism. Instead of classic Disney cartoons.
There's so much more emotion and
right. The problem is they became so photorealistic they lost any emotion in the eyes of the characters.
And like the animations, because like in the cartoons, their like facial expressions are like super exaggerated. And you can really like tell what like Simba's like trying to convey. But just through like his eyes and like his like facial expressions. And from what I've seen from The Lion King, I haven't seen the full movie, but it just looks like I'm watching National Geographic.
It's like you say, like super exaggerated in the original movie, but I feel like it's not like Looney Tunes exaggerated, right? Like where Bugs Bunny's eyes gets like this big, you know, and like
it's not Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like it's exaggerated in the way that it's believable in that world, but it's not so crazy in like over the top wackiness.
Right.
But yeah, it's like when watching the new one, that was the whole thing. Like the scene where, you know, Mufasa dies, you know, in the, what is it?
The stampede?
Yeah, the stampede scene. Like, I just felt like it was it missed all the emotional beats that like the original had, where I was like, I guess maybe for one, you're watching this scene and you know what's going to happen. So like the suspense isn't quite the same as when you saw the original.
What about when you watched the cartoon again? You watched it again recently.
Yeah,
right?
I watched it after I saw the movie.
So it's like, how did that scene play out? You knew it was going to happen in the cartoon.
I mean, it played out better. I think it's all in the emotion of the eyes. Yeah, you know, I felt like Simba was the worst. Yeah.
They had like shark eyes. It was just there was no dead. Life. Yeah. And I know, I mean, that's hard to do with CGI anyways. There's a thing called, for those of you listening, there's a thing called the uncanny valley. That is basically a problem they've been trying to solve forever with computer generated people and images and facial expressions, especially because the eyes, it's very hard to sell there's a light in your eye that's very hard to recreate. They're getting so good at it though.
Well, you can definitely like kind of get away from the uncanny valley if it's a character that isn't a human.
Oh, like a Pixar type thing.
Yeah, because like you can definitely get emotion. Your suspension of disbelief is kind of like you have a little bit more whenever it's a character that's not a human. But if someone's like recreating someone who's died, or like some sort of character in the movie that's a human-based character, you a lot of times just the audience doesn't know what's wrong, but they know that something's wrong, and that's the uncanny valley of like, you can tell that this is fake, and it ruins the movie for you. And it takes you out of it because there's no emotion with that character.
Right, kind of like Princess Leia bringing her back to life.
Yeah. I felt like the worst in all the Star Wars though was Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One. Yeah, man, I felt like it was such a weird choice to recreate Peter Cushing for that movie.
And it's like it looks really good, honestly, but it's still,
it's like missing something.
Yeah, it's not real. You know that for one, he's not alive, but it's like they're getting so close. I feel you almost feel bad because you're like, somebody put these artists
put a lot of work into it.
I mean, they did an amazing job. It looks beautiful, but it's not quite realistic.
Yeah,
I mean, like whenever you do mocap, like motion capture, whenever you have an actor hooked up to a bunch of little tracking points to get their emotion in the face.
That's like when you've seen pictures of behind the scenes, they're wearing like Speedo looking suits or whatever with like
a little like black cap on with like some crosshairs on them.
I feel like they used to have like golf balls or like ping pong balls on them.
That was like definitely the common thing. You'd always see the ping pong balls all over people. Now it's more like gray squares and like triangles and stuff, right?
And a lot of it's in the face. Like they'll have a camera that's like directly up in your face, and you have a bunch of tracking points on your face because they're trying to get the movement of the skin basically nailed down, because if you move your face, like if you really pay attention to the way someone moves their mouth or their face, you can see all these little spots where like the skin's kind of like coming in and then stretching out, and if you don't have all of those movements, like all those little subtleties in the human skin, then you can just tell it's fake without knowing exactly why.
That's like the thing we watched with the corridor
right, whenever they were talking about
they talked about the upper lip. Like that's something I never thought about, but when you're animating someone's mouth, you can't make their upper lip move on its own because there's no muscle right there between your nose and your upper lip. You can't like physically move that. So a lot of times people don't realize that they're animating. They make that upper lip move or quiver on its own or whatever, and that's not
because they're trying
possible.
to make them like their mouth move to like kind of like sync and like say a certain letter, but that comes from like other muscles around your face stretching and kind of like coming in, and that's what's moving this upper lip, not like the lip just being able to freely move about on its own.
Yeah. Do you think the Lion King, like, it's so photorealistic? Do you think it's just going to be a stepping stone and eventually they'll get it right, where they match the emotion? I never saw the Jungle Book movie, but I heard that the animals in that one had more of the kind of exaggerated faces.
Yeah, I think they did. It's hard to remember now.
And that's both Jon Favreau, so I wonder what made him want to, if that's true, move away from, that and...
Yeah, go towards more of the realism.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring to me, though, like, honestly, because whenever you go to watch a movie, you kind of want to get a story and you want to be taken out of the real world, and, like, movies going into, like, a more realistic setting like that where it's literally, like, lions and other animals.
Yeah.
Well,
but to me, it's weird, too, because it's, like, it's a musical with singing animals. So it's, like, you still have Simba, Timon, Pumbaa, they're all singing, but... they have like dead eyes.
Yeah. And I think that they will probably get it to where that like uncanny valley's gone and the realism. I mean, honestly, the animals looked basically real. It just didn't work with this story. So, I mean, I think it's great. Like they're going to be able to use that for all kinds of other things for movies, right? Like you want to think about all the superhero movies and stuff. You see things explode, whatever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's amazing looking. So obviously they're getting that stuff all figured out.
So you're saying
time.
if you need a lion in a movie, but it doesn't need to sing a song, it would work perfectly.
Yes, exactly. You could make this lion attack a guy and eat him or whatever, and it's gonna look totally real.
It was super weird, like going from that movie and then like seeing your cat Sozo or my cat Bear and being like, my cat's emoting so much more, than these lions on screen. And I'm like I can tell the emotion that Bear's having. She has those, she has a personality, and Sozo has a distinct personality too. And I'm like, why were they not?
I just don't think you kind of pick up on that. I don't think that you're getting that emotion or like the soul is not there. And
it's just so weird because I'm like, Disney's really well known for like having their animators go to zoos or
and just that anthropomorphic thing of like putting human characteristics onto the animal. And the weirdest thing was you almost couldn't tell the characters apart. I mean, you knew who they were kind of, but they basically looked the same, some of them,
Yeah, you're talking about like Nala and like all the other lionesses.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem is like, I think Disney was like, what got them really off the ground was obviously like their animation and their storytelling, and you kind of are just losing that. Like they're really going away from like this like old school 2D animation and like ways of telling stories. I mean, and kind of picking up franchises.
But they're making billions of dollars on each of these movies.
They're definitely making smart business moves. I'm not saying that, but like I think that they're also losing what kind of makes them special, and they're just becoming more of like this business-oriented company.
I think it's like what we talked about last episode. It's that continual cycle of going back to like what was successful before, and we can repackage it in a slightly different skin and still make money. And I mean that's why I think Aladdin made $1 billion too, right?
Yeah, probably.
So it's like why would they not recreate these movies? They're going to do Little Mermaid. I think they're going to do like Pinocchio.
Maybe it's just because we grew up with it.
Yeah. They're going to do Bambi too, which I don't know if Bambi's going to be a huge success because I feel like that's such a, like everyone knows about Bambi, but I don't know if
story.
If a lot of people, like The Lion King was huge. How many times did you see it?
Oh man,
as a kid?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with The Lion King. I mean, I saw it who knows how many times, but I went back to the theater to see it multiple times, and then even it was so big when it came out. They did that thing where they brought it back to the theaters, for another run.
Yeah,
and I went to see it again then, and I had like all the toys. My room was covered in Lion King stuff.
I had Lion King toys.
It was the first like album that I owned, like CD. I had a Lion King like soundtrack. That was the first CD I ever owned. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder like if like newer generations of kids and stuff that have only have the remakes, if they really see anything wrong with it, or if it's like they can enjoy it kind of the way we enjoyed the original Lion King.
I don't know.
I wonder like
That's
what their
question.
perspective is on it.
I told you we need a kid to come on the podcast.
Dude, you gotta
so we can
stop
ask them this questions.
Yeah, I don't know.
They probably don't see any difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
especially if the story's new to them, then they're.
That's what I'm wondering is like if they get like kind of the same emotion, and if they saw the original one after that, if they would like.
They're also
if their opinion on it's flipped.
Yeah, I wonder if it's different.
They're not critiquing it like us either. You know?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, they're just watching it to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, I've always had that thought experiment though. It's like if you show people the original and like you almost have two groups. One group they've never seen this movie, and it's like you show one group the original and the next group the remake, and then you see and then you show the original group
you like
the
flip
remake.
it.
Yeah, and you see like do people, if they've seen the remake first, do they have a closer association?
Yeah.
Because like critical consensus, these critics probably have seen the original, so then they're going to be like, well, the original's better.
So sometimes there's been some really great remakes, and we were talking about one before the show, Rat Race. We were talking about that, but then there's sometimes remakes like when they remade Psycho, and it was like, why did you do a shot for shot remake of a classic Hitchcock movie? Because I mean, what's the point? Because it's like now it's in color and with different actors.
Yeah,
all these years later, but basically the same. I mean, literally almost all the shots are the same.
I really hate that because it's like basically ripping someone else's work. It's not like I'm inspired by this movie, I want to go make something in that same vein. It's like I'm going to literally just rip this guy and recreate it because I love the movie. I don't know. I
like the idea of it. I don't think it should be done, but it's a cool idea to be like more so not like, hey, I'm going to release this, but almost like an exercise. Alfred Hitchcock's one of the greatest directors of all time. What if I do everything he did almost to learn from him?
So you're saying it was an exercise they should have done in film school instead of like releasing it as a major motion picture?
Yeah. They should have been like, look, I'm not going to use Vince Vaughn and then throw this out to everyone in the world.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like almost like doing a tutorial or something and then just being like, check out my awesome work that I did. Yeah. And it's like completely someone else.
Well, because we definitely would break down those scenes, Hitchcock scenes, all the time in film school.
For sure.
Yeah, and they always had like that. What was that effect that he always did, where it's like you cut back to him, and then cut to like a woman in a bathing suit, or you cut to a woman and a baby, and it's like,
always. What
like, was that?
I mean, it's the juxtaposition of shots,
right? And it's like they always taught that in film school.
Where MacGuffin.
Wasn't it like
that's not?
I know.
That's a different thing, but
I can't remember what it's called. But I learned that like 8 times because everyone was all about it. Yeah, I'll look it up.
I learned it 8 times. And I cannot remember what it is.
Every single class, it doesn't matter which class you were in, was like, we got to go over this Alfred Hitchcock thing where you cut back to your first subject and then you cut over to your second subject. And
so you learned this in every class, still don't remember it. I like how we're like, film school's totally cool, guys. Go to film school.
It's because the dude had a weird name. Okay, hold on.
It's Sergei Eisenstein that you're talking about. It's all about the montage, right?
It's all about.
It wasn't about like, I don't think it was about the montage. It was just like, I'm on Alfred Hitchcock looking at him. Shot cuts to a woman and a baby. Shot cuts back to Alfred Hitchcock and he smiles. You get the emotion that it's like that he's smiling at that woman and her baby. It's a really happy moment, but then whenever it cuts to him looking at a woman in a bathing suit, it immediately becomes much more like sexualized and dark instead of the emotion changes.
I think it's Eisenstein.
I mean, the juxtaposition of shots sounds like what that is.
Anyways,
it's like he's the one who it's like his effect maybe. I
can't find
I don't
it.
want to talk anymore.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Like,
It's fine.
Completely wrong.
Yeah,
And then people are like, "Oh, these guys went to film school and didn't not learn a single thing."
I just can't remember the guy's name. It's the something effect.
No, but that's definitely, that's a real thing for sure, because we know from editing when we're doing a docu promo or something, right? We can put two totally different shots together that then start to tell a story. We filmed them at totally different times and didn't intend to use them together, but when we put them together, it all of a sudden started to weave a narrative.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a totally like useful tool whenever you're editing. All I was saying is just we learned it a lot. And that was just because we were talking about it.
I think for the YouTube video, we should like throw up what it is.
Yeah,
and, like,
here it is.
Yeah.
Give the definition or something.
You're going to do that every time now?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Dude, I was watching Jeopardy last night. This is what I was thinking about earlier. I haven't seen Jeopardy in years.
Are you watching like they brought back Ken Jennings and all those guys?
Is that their names? I don't know. These were like really smart.
The best of the best.
Dude, they got
a
special event. Yeah.
One of the dudes' name was Brad.
Really?
Yeah, they got the dude at the end got a trophy though, and he's the greatest of all time. I guess Jeopardy. That's what it said.
Did he absolutely just like destroy the other contestants?
No, not really. Him and the other guy were just killing it, man. Actually, the guy named Brad unfortunately did terrible. He had like 0 points, and these guys were so good. Like, but it made me think. I was like, Brad would be good at Jeopardy. I feel like.
You think that he would?
Yeah, because he always knows everything. He knows like dates. He knows history. And like, if
Jeopardy's like really hard questions. So.
I don't care, dude. If we want to make a movie, Brad could go win $1 million.
I'm glad you have confidence in me. I don't know if I would win Jeopardy.
Dude, funding for our next movie, we go on a game show.
Yeah, let's look. How do we get Brad on Jeopardy? Well, anyways, I
feel like the first thing I would do on Jeopardy is forget that you have to answer in a question.
Oh yeah,
and then I would feel like an idiot.
And Trebek's like,
leave, you walk out.
I'm done.
Trebek does that thing. He's like, oh, so close. You know,
yeah.
You're like, and then the guy next to you says, "What is pineapple?"
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I said pineapple.
I saw this one thing recently, and I think. No, it was Wheel of Fortune, where this woman said, I forgot the phrase, but it was like ended in swimming, but it was like it was one of the 12 Days of Christmas things. What is it? The something swimming.
Seven Swans of Swimming.
Yeah, Seven Swans
gotcha.
of Swimming.
I didn't know what you were saying at first.
But she said, I think she said it without the G. She was like swimmin', like in a southern slang, and Pat Sajak was like, "Oh no, that doesn't count."
What?
And then the next lady beside her said it correctly, even though the G was on the board, and the woman like lost that amount of.
I would be so mad.
Yeah.
With that,
and they interviewed the woman. What?
I said, well, like with all that on the line, like.
I don't know how many points. It was just on like one of those crazy Watch Mojo videos where they were talking about like craziest game shows. It was like that, and then the next one was like the serial killer on the dating game.
Oh yeah, I forgot you told us about that.
Oh yeah, dude. If you had to go on a game show, which one would you want to like go to?
I would love to do Family Feud.
I would too.
I think that.
I think that one's my favorite too.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. And you'd literally go in there with your family, right?
Yeah.
Oh my.
I don't know, man. That'd be pretty crazy.
I just can't imagine the answers.
My family would be so crazy. It'd be hilarious though.
I think my family would be pretty good at it.
I could see it.
Did y'all watch a lot of game shows growing up? For some reason, I just see your family like all sitting around the TV with like this
watching Lingo, dude.
50 style, like, watching a game show.
I mean, I don't know. We
Yelling
definitely
out
watched
answers.
some Family Feud. We never really watched like Jeopardy though. That was like more so my cousins.
Yeah.
But my mom's side of the family, like every time we get together, we're like playing games. Funny story. One time we played this movie trivia game, and it got to the point where everyone didn't want to play anymore because like I was doing so well. They like got really upset.
I told you.
Other than one round where my brother cheated, and that's the one thing. We do play a lot of games, but my brother cheats,
dude,
almost every time.
Yeah, you've told me that before. He's like always cheating.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I feel like I would be good, kind of at Wheel of Fortune.
Dude, that's what my family watched all the time. Was Wheel of Fortune.
I've always.
I don't think I would be good at that.
See, I've always had a decent eye for just spelling, and like when I was a kid, I was always into like the spelling tests and stuff because I was good at that for some reason. I could. That's just
what about spelling bee?
I don't know if I ever actually did the spelling bees or not, but I was in that stuff. I could like visualize and sound out words, and I feel like I might do all right on Wheel of Fortune.
See, I would definitely pick like Jeopardy for myself over Wheel of Fortune.
I think I would do Deal or No Deal. I want straight luck.
Oh yeah.
That was the game show that I probably watched the most. I just loved Deal or No Deal.
Have you seen the 30 Rock parody of Deal or No Deal, where it's like it's a guy and they're like, which case has like 10 pounds of gold in it, and it's like one of the girls is like struggling to hold it up, and the guy's like, that one, and she like drops it, and they're like, yeah, you got it the first time.
That's funny,
man. Howard Mandel, man.
Yeah,
it was a good show.
No, my family, we do really like playing Scrabble though.
Yeah, I can see that.
Man, my mom will school me at Scrabble.
Yeah.
She's a teacher.
She's very good.
Dude, that's like a mom thing. Because my mom's on like the phone Scrabble.
Yeah. Words with Friends.
Words with Friends.
Yeah.
And like I played with her for a little while and just got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah,
every time.
My mom and my aunts are like super, super good.
You know what we found out the other day? I'm telling them, not you guys, but
I was like,
that we found out that the drummer for ZZ Top, the only one without a beard, his last name is Beard. It blew my mind. Let's show a picture of them here. Boop.
You really hate our audio audience.
Right. So just so everyone knows, I edit the podcast after we're done, and so I'm actually like really enjoying that Luke's doing that because I can just scrub through the hour-long podcast and find this part where he goes,
where I'm pointing.
Yeah, and I can actually
Dude,
like
I'm
easily
going to start pointing.
Don't, please don't.
Hey Ellis, remember that time?
You're like, yeah, guys, you remember when we were doing this and that?
But I thought that was so hilarious that these dudes.
That was quite a revelation, right?
Like the two main guys have, and I don't know their names, but the two guys have like the longest beards. It's literally what they're known for, like their iconic look. Their drummer does not have a beard, and his name is Frank Beard.
You think they like saw his name and was like,
that's why they brought him on. They're like,
do.
close enough. Come on.
I think that's it. I think that's when we make a short film, and it's like about ZZ Top, and it opens with they're starting a band, and they bring on a drummer, and he's like, "Hey, my last name's Beard," and they're like, "Let's grow out our beards."
It's like the audition from Deadpool whenever he's like trying to get like the superheroes, and there's ZZ Top just sitting at a table and auditioning people.
Yeah, but like when he comes in, he's like, "Should I grow out my beard?" And they're like, "No, dude, your last name is already Beard. That's overkill. We're gonna grow out our beards."
You think they're going to make the ZZ Top biopic?
Yeah, I hope we get to make that now.
That would be sweet. ZZ Top. If you need a biopic. Oh man. So I have a question for y'all.
Okay.
If you had to choose an era to live in that isn't this time, what era would you choose and why? And that is also a question from my friend Austin.
Okay, so when you say era, like, are you talking about...
Getting technical over here.
10 years ago.
Yeah. Beep. No, are you talking about like 70s, 80s, 60s, or are you talking about like Roman Empire?
Let's go by centuries. Let's say you have to choose a century that's not this century.
What?
I don't know. Or I don't know if I like that. I guess you could do decades if you want.
Like
if you want to do like the 50s
20th
or something.
Century's like, I don't know.
That is true.
I won't think of, how about anything the last 100 years is off the table?
All right, that's fine.
Okay.
That's dumb.
He wanted to go on the moon later.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it would be really... So we're talking about living in this time or like just visiting? because I don't want to live at any other time.
Okay, let's say that you got to visit a time.
Here's the thing.
Not now.
Like, there's lots of cool things that you'd like to see in the past, but really actually living there would suck because we have so many.
Well, we're accustomed to the technology we have
Hey,
now.
dude, you get a cold in the past and you just die because you don't have antibiotics or whatever.
No,
So,
I feel like
that's like super old times, though.
he said we had to go back past 100 years.
I feel like what would happen would be like we would go back in time and then everyone would get sick from us.
Yeah.
Like when
Kill
the
everybody.
conquistadors went to North
Dude,
America.
You're right. That's a concept for a movie right there. They mess up the timeline because they travel back in time, not realizing they have all these.
They get a leader sick or something.
Yeah, they have all these germs and stuff that we can kill now, but they couldn't kill back then.
Man, we'd just like touch them and they'd just be like,
Yeah, it's like War of the Worlds.
Okay, so let's say
I
just can't do a time that you have lived in, but any other time you can do.
Because I want to go back to the 90s.
Yes, you can't do the 90s. Any other time is fine.
I mean, the 20s, I think it's just like it'd be a really cool era to see.
You're living in.
That now we are, yeah. Dinosaurs, of course.
That would be terrible.
Wear my
Have you
Jurassic
watched
Park
Jurassic
shirt.
Park?
Yeah, dude, I got the shirt on.
You asked Luke
Didn't
if
even
he's
know.
seen Jurassic Park. That's like yesterday we're filming with that guy for the Corps Cadets, and he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, maybe we should shoot something by a river. Is
Yeah.
there a river nearby? Like not even 50 feet away.
Yeah, we're like the river's right there. That was pretty funny. Time period. What do you, Brad? Do you have a time period? It's kind of tough to
Yeah,
pick.
it's a tough one.
I think I would do like the late 50s.
like
You know,
1950s.
get past World War II. You know, you want to get past the 40s. You kind of want to get into the 50s a little bit, but I think the 50s was like, maybe it's just like how movies have portrayed it to me.
Yeah.
But it just seems like a really cool time of like
Leave It to Beaver
this like
style.
suburbia like stuff kind of like
Yeah.
rising up and like
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Leave It to Beaver?
yes.
Okay, just checking.
I watched it a little bit when I was a kid.
I said it and you didn't react, so I thought maybe he's never heard of that.
No,
I said it.
I've
Your
seen Leave It to
eyes
Beaver.
looked like Simba from the Lion King.
Just
Dead eyes.
no, I've seen it. I've seen a lot of those older shows. I just don't watch anything now, I guess.
It's almost my birthday, and we're going.
Wait, I didn't get to answer.
We're going bowling. You took too long, dude. People don't have all day to listen to you.
I was
think.
going to say like medieval times.
I mean, I
It'd be cool
thought
to be
that too,
a night.
and I thought Ellis would pick that because he's a D&D guy over here.
No,
Yeah.
dude, you know how terrible it would be to live in medieval times.
Well, we're visiting. We're not living.
It would just be awful.
The only way
The Black Plague all the time.
Dude, like they don't even have like proper restrooms and people shower like once a month. It's gonna be terrible.
I don't know if the only way you'd really want to visit.
Yeah,
would
but
be,
I'm only visiting.
Yeah, even if you visit though, you'd want to be like in a bubble or something. Like somehow
Yeah.
stay where you can't actually be like touched.
See, I feel like I'm visiting. I got this bad boy. I got my phone with me.
Oh, you're a sorcerer.
And then they're like, "Hey, you can hang out in the castle."
They'll put you on trial and execute you for being
A witch.
A witch.
They'll think you're a
or
witch.
something.
I would be a warlock. Duh.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, a warlock is someone who makes a pact with some sort of devil or
Okay. Maybe I'm
deity
not a
entity.
warlock.
So you would be a sorcerer.
Okay.
A sorcerer, a witch, whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
I
a
changed
witch.
my name to Merlin. Y'all look at like old tapestries,
What
and they're
did-
like, "That guy looks like Brad."
Brad's depicted in old tapestries. Go back to like ancient like Egypt or whatever, and he's just like
He's in hieroglyphics.
he's in hieroglyphics.
It's like Brad's beard is like just etched into the wall.
That would be so weird. Okay, continue about your birthday.
Oh yeah, so we're going bowling. So
Tomorrow.
yeah, and I guess by the time people are hearing this, we've already gone bowling. So hopefully something funny happened. We'll talk about it on the next one.
I'm sure something funny will happen. What is going to be funny is I'm going to destroy everyone at bowling.
Dude, I'm waiting for it. I hope you
I feel like you're
can live
big
up.
game.
big
I-
talk.
Just going to talk it. Yeah.
Oh, I am going to talk big game, and then if I don't win, I will. You'll never see me on the podcast again. So
That's a big wager. We come back next week. Well, it's just the two of us now.
Here's the new guy. He's 12. He's going to give us that kid's perspective.
I will not be able to face you guys again if I lose.
Dang.
Oh, but yeah, it's I don't know, it's not really like a themed birthday party because that'd be dumb, but it's we've been saying it's like the Big Lebowski and everything. But Carrie got me a cool Big Lebowski looking, what do you call those? Oh, yeah, drug rugs, right? I didn't know they were actually called that. Hey, here's a picture right here. Boop. I didn't know that it was actually called that, though. And
is that what it's called? I've only heard people refer to it.
Okay, so when I got...
only like druggies in high schools.
Yeah. So when I got home, the Amazon Echo's lit up yellow or whatever, and it read the notification, and it said
drug rug?
Yeah, it said the drug rug had been delivered. And I was like, what?
Your drugs have been
delivered. You're like, Carrie, what are you up to?
What did you order? And then someone commented on Facebook when I posted the picture, and they said, in my day, we called him a drug rug or whatever. And I was like, okay, I get. And Brad had just texted me that, so I didn't know they were actually called that. So, whatever.
I mean, it looked pretty cool.
It's a cool jacket.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I just didn't know the name of it. I still don't. I don't know if there's another name, something else you'd call it.
I'm just gonna call it a drug rug because that's what I've always known it as.
So you've heard that too? I don't know if I've ever really heard that. I mean, I probably have.
So you're gonna wear it to bowling?
Drug rug.
I'm
probably gonna wear it. Yeah, because
I remember people in high school. Those druggy kids.
Yes,
that's like the only people I really
Baja hoodies.
But now I know a lot of people that wear them,
and
it's kind of like its own like style now.
Yeah.
It definitely had more of a negative connotation when we were young.
Oh, okay.
For sure.
So it's a Baja jacket. I mean, it's a Mexican jacket is where it comes from and everything. Anyways, well, I mean, the Big Lebowski is probably my favorite movie. So, I mean, it's not like I walk around wanting to dress up like the Big Lebowski all the time, but I like the Baja jacket. It's kind of cool and it's something I'll wear. But yeah, we've been meaning to watch the Big Lebowski, like all three of us. We just haven't had time to do it yet because Ellis hasn't seen it. Mm-hmm. But Brad and I talk about it all the time. Or
it's probably what they quote the most, and I just kind of sit there lost.
How do you know?
It's because you guys say immediately after quoting it, "Oh, you don't know where that's from? It's from the Big Lebowski." You an idiot?
That's so true, dude. As soon as we say it, we're like, Ellis, you don't know where that's from?
You've seen the Big Lebowski? No. What? How have you not seen the Big Lebowski?
I feel like we also ask him all the time. Not just that one, but movies we've definitely asked him 10 times. We're like, wait, you haven't seen Fargo? Have you seen Fargo? And we'll ask him again.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
In other words, you haven't seen like barely any Coen Brothers movies.
No.
The only one you have seen is No Country for Old Men, and you hated it for some reason. They're Oscar-winning film.
It's not like I hated it, but it's definitely not my favorite movie. There is a scene.
Explain why.
Yeah, tell everyone this problem you had.
There is a scene that really bothered me, and it's honestly not that big a deal, but it really bothered me.
You made it seem like it was a huge deal.
I was really upset when I watched it.
It seemed like a deal breaker for you.
Whenever I forget the guy's name who's like the main antagonist.
Anton Chigurh.
Yeah.
Him.
The bad guy.
Whenever he kills Woody Harrelson, I believe. It's when he kills Woody Harrelson, but he shoots him, and then whenever he's like I think he takes off his socks or something or whatever, but the blood flow from Woody Harrelson flows in the completely wrong direction, and like it's edited together where it's flowing towards his feet, but he was killed in an angle in a way that the blood doesn't flow that way, and it's so aggravating that it's just.
And I guess that one scene
ruined the movie.
It really, really bothered me the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
No Country.
Here, I'll show you the scene here. Doot.
Are you really?
Yeah, sure, why not? I can show him the scene.
So, obviously Luke watches Aladdin and Will Smith sings with Autotune, and he's like, that ruined the movie.
That's a deal breaker for him.
Yeah.
You see blood go the other way.
Well, it's just like sometimes there's editing choices, and it's probably not the editor's fault. It's probably just they were in such a rush on set, which I totally get, and like they were working with what they got. So,
true.
And like, whenever you're on a set, it's super hard to like think of all those things because there's a million things going on. So, trying to see the whole movie in your head is tough.
Yeah. The craziest thing about that movie to me though is it has like no soundtrack. You know?
Oh yeah,
and it's
right.
like for the Coen brothers, like think of The Big Lebowski,
music.
You know,
yeah.
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? You know, music's a huge part of that. Even Fargo, like the score to Fargo is pretty iconic.
Like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou soundtrack, I think was like
huge.
award-winning soundtrack,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like how what's that one movie that John Krasinski just made?
A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place. It was just like that. It was like all sound design for the most part.
Yeah.
I kind of like that though. I'm just kind of digging that for movies.
Yeah, I mean that works great
think it-
for him for that movie specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even No Country for Old Men, but I guess my point was like they music plays such a crucial role in like a ton of their movies. Like even Raising Arizona, you know, you always think of like the yodeling soundtrack with it, and you know, for them to just go, okay, this one we're not going to have any music with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like such a crazy, you know, choice,
Yeah,
but it like
bold
works
choice.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it definitely. What was cool about No Country for Old Men is when he's walking around with the air compressor.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like not having music really added a lot of power to like whenever he's like busting in like these rooms, and especially when he's like you can like hear the creak of the wood when he's like walking around looking for the people in the hotel room to. He knows there's people in there, and he's gotta kill them because they're trying to kill him. But it really adds a lot of tension by not having music, and like when the phone rings. When he's talking to Woody Harrelson and he picks up the phone, that like sudden sound of like the phone ringing, it a lot of that adds to like a really cool suspension, suspense, not suspension, to the movie that you wouldn't get if you had music playing.
True. That's true.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, other than that, like the movie wasn't bad. It's just.
That scene
really
you off.
It really like stuck out to me and kind of annoyed me. And then I also like wasn't a big fan of the ending just because like I was pulling for this guy the entire movie, and then he just kind of dies.
Well, wait, who are you talking about?
The main protagonist. Whenever he's like,
okay, spoiler alert.
Uh-oh.
If you haven't seen that movie, then
like it came out in 2007, stop being like me. So that's like 13 years old at this point.
Yeah, and like it was kind of a bummer that he died, and I don't know. Well, so some movies, I feel like a lot of American movies have like this like happy ending. Like you have to have like this like conclusion where the hero wins, and a lot of other movies that are not from the U.S. kind of like don't have that. And
what
I think
you
that we're
think of
accustomed to that.
end scene with Tommy Lee Jones kind of talking?
That was kind of cool, honestly, because I liked that like his character was like it felt more real. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like he was like some big hero or anything. It kind of just felt like the monotony of like everyday life, and like he was kind of like just like stuck in this like retirement grind or whatever. And you expected more out of him, but you honestly didn't get it, and I was kind of okay with that.
We were talking about the Big Lebowski yesterday, and how the Coen brothers are so good at their world building because of just all these little details that they're not even like characters you'll see, but they have names, they feel real, like Walter in the Big Lebowski keeping the Pomeranian dog for his ex-wife, and she's out on this vacation with her new boyfriend, and you won't ever see those characters, but the Coen brothers write them into the story in a way that they're brought up on probably more than once. I think he says something again later about him, but it just makes Walter feel like you understand his backstory, right? You know, he's like he's been in Vietnam. You know, he's obviously still has like PTSD from that, basically. I mean, he pulls out a gun in the bowling alley, and then he's got this he has an ex-wife, so you can kind of like put together, and he's his like backstory, you know, and you can visualize him kind of like sitting at home alone or whatever, you know. You can visualize like what his life is kind of like, and that's just really good writing. They don't spoon feed you anything. No. It's like they leave out important details sometimes because they assume the audience is smart enough to understand what's going on.
True. You think that's John Goodman's best role?
Maybe, but he's also really good. And I mean, he's always really good. But I always liked in "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Oh yeah,
he gets like was it just a log or a baseball bat or something? And he starts like swinging on them at this picnic. Yeah, no, but I would say I feel like it's his most memorable role, and the same thing for Jeff Bridges. I mean, Jeff Bridges.
I think that's Jeff Bridges' like most iconic.
Yeah,
role.
he became the dude after that. Yeah. You know. So you got to see it, Ellis. We got to watch it sometime.
Well, hopefully, maybe by next podcast we'll have actually watched it and we can talk about it some more.
Yeah.
But you did show me some of those scenes.
Yeah.
And I agree with like the dialogue writing. It's really cool that like it's just a bunch of stuff that you're never gonna like see, but it's kind of establishing this world they're in. And that's like a really talented way of writing that I think is kind of not as relevant today.
Right. And like if you're in film school and you write that into your script, they're gonna like go through and edit it out. Your professor's gonna X out stuff like that. They're gonna be like, why are you talking about these characters who never come up in the story again, or who we never see, and stuff like that? Because I mean, and they have a point. That's a good point. It's like if you're learning how to write and you don't know what you're doing, you might be throwing in details that are not important, and especially for short films, because short films are so intentional. Every scene
you gotta be so economic with your words.
Every scene's precious. It's like you only have a short amount of time to tell the story, so it makes sense why they do it. And professors are probably going to tell you that, and you should probably learn to like write that way. But it's like the Coen brothers have, they are just extremely gifted, talented, genius writers, and so they are able to craft these stories and put in these crazy little details that you probably wouldn't write if it's your very first screenplay ever.
Yeah.
You Googling?
Yeah, the name just came to me on that effect. It's called the Kuleshov effect.
There it is.
I just suddenly just popped into my head, and I was like, I had to confirm.
And now
we were wrong.
I am correct. Kuleshov effect.
We've come full circle.
Okay, yeah. And Brett, didn't you said you had something to say, right? Or you were just you were trying to say something a second ago, and I'm just trying to bring it back around.
I was going to ask Luke, have you seen talking about the Coen brothers? Have you seen Barton Fink before?
No,
that's a good John Goodman role too.
I haven't seen that one.
I feel like most of his best movies are kind of with them, Brother, obviously Big Lebowski. He's really good in Barton Fink 2.
Barton Fink 2, the sequel.
I don't know. It's got John Turturro in it as well. And
did you see that? Were you not in here? Wait, no, when was that? Oh, that was after work.
That was after.
We watched the trailer. Let's pull it up.
What is it?
So it's a new trailer for a sequel to The Big Lebowski.
It's like
what's it
it's
called?
like the Coen brothers.
Google Jesus Rolls.
Yeah, or something. So
Jesus Rolls trailer.
So John Turturro plays a character in The Big Lebowski, and his name is the Jesus, and he apparently got permission from him to make a kind of unofficial sequel to the movie.
That's so weird.
But look at that shot. That looks terrible.
It's slowed down.
Yeah, you could definitely see the frame.
No, but look at this.
That looks so bad. Dude, they're just using that Saber plugin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that looks so bad. You could see where the flame was tracked to his foot, because he moved his foot and the flame got dragged along with it.
Right.
Yeah.
That was so bad.
I know, and I'm like, they're taking such a classic movie character and making this what looks like an awful movie from it.
Yeah, I was reading on Reddit how some people were speculating it looks like all those graphics makes it look like, you gotta strike, crazy graphics. But I was like, I don't think they were going for that.
I don't know.
It just looks so
I don't know.
poorly designed.
I didn't know. Did they just make this for a teaser and it's not even scenes from the movie? You know what I mean?
I hope that's the case. I don't have hope in the movie just because it seems like, he was wanting to take this character he played, like, what, the movie came out in 98, so it's like over 20 years ago. He's trying to like bring it back, and it's like the Coen brothers just gave him his blessing to take the character, but it's like they didn't write anything. They're probably not even like producing it.
Yeah, if they're not producing or writing, then it's probably not going to hold up like anywhere near as well as The Big Lebowski.
This looks like it was like the pitch video he made to go get the funding or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like the finished product. So here's the
especially
thing.
that second shot where it's like shot at 24 frames per second, but they slowed it down, used like digital frame blending to make it look like it's more slow, and it just looks so out of place.
Watch the flame on his foot here. See, it gets dragged along with him. It's so bad, dude. It's not like tracked properly into the scene.
And here's that scene. Look at this again, Ellis. It just,
that looks so bad.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look good. I literally thought it wasn't a real trailer or something at first.
Yeah, it seems like fan made. It seems like something he did like on a weekend. It was like, hey, I'm going to get
it's
my
like
buddy.
him and a buddy, like just they were like, let's.
He's like, hey, my nephew knows how to do motion graphics, so hey, whip this up for me real quick.
This guy on the comment says, I love the cast, but it looks like it was filmed by a YouTuber. Totally missing the technical merits of BL.
It's so Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
it's so true, man. I mean, it looks terrible. Only in Hollywood could we get a bowling movie about a kid toucher who can score strikes. Good,
and you haven't seen it yet.
I don't really get the reference.
In the movie, they talk about him being we'll have to watch the movie so you'll get the reference there.
All right, next podcast. Hopefully, I've watched the movie.
Yeah. Anyways,
it's
that one looks bad.
I hope this doesn't spoil the movie, but it's like the craziest part is like he just shows up for like one scene. Yeah. Like that movie's chock full of these characters that really don't stick around more than like a scene or two.
Yeah.
And he's just like, in one scene, he's memorable in that scene, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it's so weird to like now have a movie where it just follows him around.
And like, I mean, what's so genius about the Coen brothers is it almost feels like there's not like really a story happening. Mm-hmm. Like it really does. It feels, it's kind of like Seinfeld or something. It's like a show about nothing. It feels like you don't, it's not like your stereotypical plot points and things are happening. Yeah. It's just weird random stuff's happening to the dude. He's not even that proactive as a protagonist. Like he's not.
A lot of it really probably goes against standard like screenwriting, tips.
Yeah, exactly. Because he definitely, things happen to him and he reacts a lot of the movie. And typically they teach you, you're supposed to make your protagonist proactive. He makes the choice, or he or she makes their choices. But the movie comes together so beautifully. There is a story. It's just like it takes it a while to really understand what's happening, because a lot of it just feels like random scenes. I don't know how. I'd love to see the script because their dialogue back and forth feels so natural. I don't know if they wrote that in there.
I've heard that they're pretty like strict with the script.
That's
where it's
what I've
like
heard.
They write it that way, and then you have to kind of follow it. I doubt many actors, if any, can like really improv. I bet like not even Frances McDormand can improv, even though she's married to one of them.
So
they're probably so
you mean
strict.
You're saying they wouldn't allow it?
Yeah,
I thought you were saying you didn't think actors could improv, and I was
no.
What?
They definitely can. I think that
they wouldn't allow.
The Coen brothers are so strict with their script,
right? And I've heard that too. So that if that's the case, it's like every little what all those. Yeah. Walter has all these parts where he's reacting. He does like he didn't hear the dude or whatever, and it sounds so natural. Donnie chimes in, he tells him to shut up. It all flows so naturally. That's just really good writing. If all those little notes are in the script.
You could probably find the script online.
Yeah, you probably could. I hate when you get those like transcripts someone's wrote though.
Yeah.
Oh man,
and it's like not the real one.
Yeah, it's just somebody transcribed the movie, and then they wrote little action lines in. It's not the real script.
The one thing I like about this time of year, though, because of the Oscars coming up, they always have like all the scripts that are nominated for either Best Adaptive Screenplay or Best Original. They end up being released online, and you can get your hands on them, to read, because they're up for the awards.
Yeah.
Definitely need to go watch some of the movies that are up for nomination this year. I really want to see 1917. I think that's the one that I want to see the most.
Man, I want to see Parasite. I mean, it seems to be getting up a ton of awards, and I'm a huge fan of Bong Joon-ho, and
I can't spell.
I don't know. Amazon keeps on like, they're like, oh, Parasite movies that you can rent or buy. And I'm like, oh, cool, I can rent it finally. And I check and it's like, no, you can buy it for $14. And I'm like, I want to see the movie, but I don't know, if I'm going to buy it.
Is it a horror film?
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. I'm confused by the
trailers.
And
I kind of don't want to, like, I haven't really seen the trailers.
No. Man, where's like the actual movie list?
So you're a fan of who made that movie?
Yeah,
I didn't even know who made that movie.
He's a South Korean director. He did Snowpiercer.
Gotcha.
His most recent movie, which I wouldn't say is his best, was Okja. Did you ever see anything with that?
I watched some of that
on Netflix. He's most well known. He did a movie called The Host. That was really cool. It's like a monster movie in South Korea.
All right, here's Best Picture. So we've got Ford versus Ferrari, The Irishman.
I haven't seen that. Irishman was really good.
I still need to watch that. Ford versus Ferrari is one of the ones that I wanted to see, but like I could go without it. Jojo Rabbit's nominated, and I really wanted to watch that.
I want to see that one.
I just like the idea. It's like super Wes Anderson looking.
Yeah.
Joker, which was amazing.
Joker.
We saw that.
Joker's awesome.
Little Women.
Haven't seen it.
Marriage Story, which you watched, right?
Little Women's up for Best Picture?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't realize. Yeah, I saw Marriage Story. I really liked it.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I like about all these Netflix movies.
Is it's easy access to watch them?
If you have Netflix, you can watch them.
1917. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was
so
really
good.
Yeah, so good. And then Parasite, which I really want to see Parasite, especially like you don't really get many foreign films that are nominated for Best Picture, I feel like.
I mean, last year you had Roma, which was in Spanish. I never saw it, but
it was on Netflix, right? It was like that black and white movie. Yeah.
So Parasite was actually a foreign production too, like produced by a foreign company and everything.
Yeah. What was it? Korean?
South Korean.
South Korean? Yeah. It looks really good, and everything that I've seen on it, like, it's just like the reviews are stellar.
I keep hearing about it, but I haven't seen it, and I've like seen those trailers, and I was confused by the what would if it's a horror or if it's I'm not sure what to feel.
Yeah, I would definitely say 1917, Jojo Rabbit, and Parasite are probably like my top 3 to still watch. Yeah. Before the Oscars.
Do you think Joker could win Best Picture?
I would be surprised, honestly. I like Joker a lot, but I think just the way the Academy works, if I had to pick one or two, I haven't seen 1917, but I know, like, not to say the gimmick, but the style of it is kind of filmed like it's a one shot. And, that's such a technically impressive thing. Not too many movies try that. Obviously Birdman did it. We have a funny story about Birdman that we should probably share. But and then you have the way old movie with Hitchcock, Rope, and there's probably movies in between, but those are like notable ones that I can think of. I feel like for that and being a war film, it might win, but I would be surprised if Once Upon a Time in Hollywood doesn't win. I think that's the one that I feel like.
You think that or 1917?
I feel like just the way the Academy works, I would say one or those two. But I think the Hollywood, they love awarding movies either about the experience of filmmaking related to Hollywood. Birdman one, that's a good example. It's about an actor, or even like the artist one. That's like about show business. So.
I don't think Joker will win, but I think that Joaquin Phoenix might get best actor in leading role.
I think he'll win.
Because his performance was just so solid,
amazing.
Just like all the subtleties in like his performance and
he's winning a lot of the other awards too, which makes me think. Adam Driver did a really good job. I was kind of surprised that. Of course, I don't know if he would be under lead. He'd probably be more of a supporting role. But Willem Dafoe not getting anything for The Lighthouse was kind of surprising to me.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
You should tell people what to Birdman someone is.
So
what do you call that? Now we turned it into a verb, I guess.
Birdmaning?
Yeah.
So man, this is so way back. This was like 2015. We're doing our capstone like presentation to get approval to pretty much make the apology service. The irony is we were going to make it regardless, but we already had the Kickstarter up and running, so it was just the formal thing. You have to go in front of the art professors. We did 2 separate presentations, and you're saying this is what my role is for the movie. You have a PowerPoint, you present what your role, what you're going to do, everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
So I had bought Birdman to watch, bought it on Blu-ray. And the funny thing is, right before these, or the day after these presentations, it's on a Friday, and the day after it is
it was a break, right?
It's like spring break.
Spring break.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you go on spring break, and that's a full week. Then you come back. So I think I was going on a trip or going out of town. I tell Luke, hey, I bought Birdman. Let's watch it when I get back. I come back the next week.
And I was like, cool, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Come back, and then we're like hanging out or something, and then Carrie.
No, wait, we sit down to watch it. I think, right? We're like already watching it. I think you and I are like in the middle of watching it, and when she comes in.
Okay, yeah. Is that
we're already watching the movie, I think, or she saw it on the table one. But anyways, she had no idea that she was spilling the beans. That she and I secretly had already watched the movie that weekend or that week or whatever, and I didn't tell Brad at all. Like I was just going to watch it.
Didn't you tell her like not to mention it?
I don't know if I did or not, because she totally came in and was like, "Oh yeah, that was a cool movie. We just watched that." And Brad was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh crap, the cat's out of the bag, dude. And so it was hilarious because I was gonna just watch the movie with him and not say anything. And so from then on, it became like a term where you like Birdman somebody, and then
see, I don't know if that makes you a really good friend or a horrible friend.
Terrible friend.
I don't know how that would make him a good friend.
Because I wasn't gonna ruin it for him. I was gonna be like, we still watched it together. So then we were going to watch Swiss Army Man, because another one we really wanted to see, and
another movie I bought.
Yeah,
and we were going to see.
Right, and we'd been watching all of the Daniels' work. That's the directors that made the movie, and he comes over. We sit down. We watch the whole movie, and then at the end,
I reveal that me and my roommates at the time watched the movie the night before.
The night before, dude, and he was like, "You just got Birdman."
Got him.
Yeah, and then I don't know if we've Birdmaned anybody else since then, but now it's a thing.
It's built a lot of mistrust.
So like,
that's for sure.
If you watch The Big Lebowski, without us, then you come over and we watch it, then you can totally Birdman us.
I actually almost watched it sometime this week because we like keep talking about it, and I'm like, man, I just need to watch this, but I haven't because we keep saying we're gonna watch it together, and I'm like, I'll hold off and I'll wait because I'm a good friend.
Ooh. That's crazy.
Cool. Should we wrap it up, guys?
Sure, why not?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Let's do it. Let's sign off. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please subscribe. Share the podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace.
Review us on Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you listen, give us a review, give us a comment,
And
tell us what you want us to talk about next.
Yeah, don't be afraid to send in any audio recordings on what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, and and just to be clear, if you're watching the video podcast, I think you'll have to go to like Anchor site or Spotify, or any of them should have the little link at the bottom, and you just click that, and it'll take you to where you can record your own audio message, and you send that to us, and you say like you have a question for us or a topic you want to talk about, whatever. We'll play it on the air, and then we'll talk about it.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.
See ya.